Welcome to the FMCG Guys podcast. We're here in Dubai today. Very excited about this. If you're listening to the podcast, you can also watch us on YouTube. I've just come from Shop Talk Lux in Abu Dhabi, which was an interesting experience with now here in the big city. By the way, very different feeling to one place, Abu Dhabi to Dubai. I'd never been to Abu Dhabi, so it was a good experience to see the difference. And I'm seated here with someone that I've just learned is a fan of the podcast. So very excited about that news. It's and someone that I've known for over 10 years. So it's the first time we meet. It doesn't feel like the first time we meet actually, but it is. And then it's Julio Cesar Do Monte, who's the Area VP of Russia, Africa, Middle East, and Turkey at Consumer Healthcare Leader Kenvue. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
7 months in Dubai, you said?
7 months here, yeah.
How's that?
It's amazing. It's as you could have seen, it's an amazing place to be. There's a lot going on here. Very vibrant, amazing city. A lot of opportunity, a lot of challenges, like most of the countries in this part of the world. So enjoying it very much.
I guess the question is like compulsory. Like, out of the 7 months that you've been in Dubai, how many days have you actually been in Dubai?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're managing such a big region.
Absolutely. I haven't spent much in the ground. That's true. A lot to cover in this big geography I'm looking after. And also we had a little bit of a break during the crazy summer months of Dubai.
Yeah.
Escape here for a while. But nevertheless, again, great to be here. Great to learn a little bit about the culture here in the Middle East and in the broader region.
So the first time that we spoke, I think, were you in Brazil still?
Yes, I was still in Brazil.
I get why I call like what type of role I was working on. But your background was basically in marketing. Tell me a bit more about it. Like, how did you build your career to become a regional general manager? Brazilian, managing Middle East, Russia, Africa.
So it's quite interesting, and I think that's one of the things when I reflect back about my career. A lot of the things happen a little bit by chance. It's not that I really planned it. I actually, you're gonna like this one. I actually started my career in finance. I graduated economics. The obvious path was to find a job in finance, which I did.
Yeah,
I joined this.
What you did, no?
That I did. So I joined the trainee program of Danone in finance, and it was really cool. And then just by chance, again, from finance, I ended up working in trade marketing, shopper marketing.
Like, in what moment did you do a transition from finance to marketing?
Yeah, so like I say, it was a little bit by chance, not by design. I was working finance in Danone, and I had a colleague that was working trade market at Danone.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, he moved to Unilever.
Oh.
And one day he calls me and says, listen, we have an opening here. Don't you want to apply? I said, man, I work in finance. And he said, no, that's fine.
And an opening in Unilever.
In Unilever. And he said, no, but that is fine. We need someone that is good with numbers and like analysis and etc. So I said, well, why not? I was young. I say, well, the world is there to be explored. So I went there, applied for the job, got the job, moved to Unilever in trade marketing.
Crazy.
And
they hired you?
Yes, they did. So I think they were pleased at me. But it was really cool because I was working the sales operations team with channel strategy, commercial terms. So it was really cool, purpose to sales. Subsequent to that, I moved to do what we call the brand activation piece.
So you're some more like in-store
activities, POS materials, and etc. And then from there, I end up going into marketing and then that's where I build most of my
Unilever Brazil, which is a whole institution as well. Like it's still probably not there anymore, but like it was a lot of people, huge procurement office.
Exactly. Massive business in Brazil. Unilever is super strong, a brand there. One of I don't know if it's still today. I remember that time was one of the only countries in the world where Unilever was ahead of Procter & Gamble detergent. So surprised.
No, it was okay.
In a market as big as Brazil.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. It was really cool. And then ended up going to marketing afterwards. And that's where then I built most of my career. But I think To your question, how do you go from marketing to GM? I think when I look at back, I when I was in marketing, I really look at the H to H piece. I always say that.
Also, you're coming from finance and trade marketing, so you were a different marketer, I guess.
Yeah, I had this opportunity to see all the functions and understand how the things work together. And I think when I was in brand marketing and as a brand manager, I always say, listen, I always saw myself as the mini GM of the brand.
Yeah, if you like, right?
So I say I was never only looking at the marketing piece. I was always very curious to understand what's happened at the customer level. I was always very close to the sales team. Always, of course, talking to the finance colleagues to understand the P&L and the financials of the brand, the supply chain guys. So I was always like, I was not really just thinking about the market.
You weren't thinking only to your job station.
Yes, and I think that's where at the end it led me to where I am today, is to be curious, right? Is not be just satisfied with your area of responsibility, but be curious and try to learn as much as you can about everything that touches your business.
When was your first general management role?
That was back in 2013. So that time I was working for Boehringer Ingelheim, Trinity Pharmaceutical Company. I was already for 3 years in Germany, in the headquarters in global marketing.
You were based in Germany with Boehringer. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was there.
Was that the first time you moved out of Brazil?
It was the second time. The first time I moved from Brazil to the UK with Boehringer. I went to a very interesting project. It was a RX to OTC switch.
Wow, yeah, very interesting.
So it was really cool. I did that for about a year. It was a great project. We got great results. And then thanks to the success of that project, they offered me the role at the global marketing team. It was fascinating to move to Germany. Very different culture, especially coming from Brazil. I learned a lot. It was really cool to be on the global marketing role, because up to that point, I only had local roles. It was really nice to think about brand positions.
So you were from having like a job to having to create your own job, basically.
Exactly.
And all the global.
And it was really cool, right? Working with consumer insights, thinking about the future of the brand and pipeline and etc. And then at some point, after 3 years doing that, my boss at the time said, well, do you know what, now it's time for you to get a P&L responsibility. And then they shipped me to Indonesia. So my first GM role was I went to manage the consumer business for Boehringer in Indonesia.
Wow.
So it was very challenging for several reasons. It was challenging because it was my first GM role in a country that I knew nothing about it, completely different culture. I was recently married. My wife was expecting our first child, so it was a lot of new news at the same time.
And your wife take it?
So I'm being very fortunate that my wife has been a great partner, and she has always supported me in all the moves. She goes in the adventure with me. So she was very excited to go explore a different part of the world. Was a little bit tough to have your first child so far away from home.
Yeah, because family. So like if you think about the world, like Indonesia is super far from yourself.
Yeah, super far from Brazil. And
Jakarta doesn't have like amazing connections either.
No, it takes literally
a day or more, 30 hours.
Yeah, because we'll have to fly
to Australia. No,
we would do Jakarta, Doha, which is about almost 10 hours.
So it wouldn't cross the Pacific.
No,
it would go the other way.
The other way. So you literally cross the entire world, right? So we would do Jakarta, Doha, about 10 hours. Then you have a layover of 6.5 hours in Doha. And then you have 15.5 hours Doha, São Paulo. So yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal.
But Indonesia is, I actually went on holiday to Indonesia in April, May. It's interesting because they're very like, the people there are very different. In a positive way, I mean it, but like, they're very like direct, open. Well, at least that was my experience. I don't know what yours.
No, they are. There's one thing about Indonesia is they're super friendly.
Yeah,
and super welcoming.
Very authentic.
Very authentic. They love to help people. So yeah, it was a great experience. Great experience. We spent 3 years there in Indonesia, and it was really cool.
Yeah. When did you join Kenvue Johnson and Johnson?
So what happened was, we from Indonesia, I went back to Brazil, still with Beringer.
Yeah.
And 6 months after I arrived in Brazil with Beringer, that's when J&J approached me. Was also in the period where
They were selling to Sanofi.
exactly Beringer had done the deal with Sanofi to swap their consumer business.
For the animal, no?
Yes, for the animal health business. So it was a good timing for me.
Yeah.
And then, yes, let Beringer join J&J at that time, responsible for the self-care, oral care, and wound care portfolio for Latin America.
Interesting. And so and when was that? Like 5 years ago or something?
Now, that was in 2000. I joined them in 2016.
Wow.
So it's going to be 10 years.
Years now. Yeah. Oh, we've been in touch for a long time, isn't it? And then in J&J, you've been at in Brazil, Germany,
Brazil, Germany, South Africa.
and now here. Yeah. So obviously, like in your career, you've like, that's like something that I've kind of realized in the last few months, like how important it is, like in a career, in my own career, but I think even in corporate careers, there's a certain element of like risk, like what is it like? No gain, no pain, no gain. You took a risk, like moving from finance to marketing. Is there any other moment in your career now, looking back, that you think, wow, at that time, like I had to like take a call and I took it, and it was.
Yeah, this I think there is a couple, and let me just mention one that it's a trend across my entire career. Every time you move from one country to another is a risk, right? It's a lot of unknowns. You get out of your comfort zone, you pretty much have to start all over again. Not only from a professional point of view, it's a new market, it's a new consumer, and you need to learn and understand. But also from your personal point of view, you start from scratch. Yeah, right. So every time it's a risk that you take. But like you say, no pain, no gain. It is a big risk, but it comes also with a big reward. You grow so much, right? By starting over and over again, several times. You learn a lot, you develop a lot, both again from a professional point of view, but also from a personal point of view.
Yeah.
And yes, I think as you go through your career, then I think it's difficult in the corporate world to be able to develop and grow if you don't take risks. Right? I always say not stupid risk, calculated risk, but risk nevertheless.
Yeah.
And again, it's a combination of your gut feeling, your previous experience, having your good assumptions, having a little bit of data. You're never going to have all the data to take the decision.
Yeah.
But then you go for it, right? And you own the decision. You take that risk for good or for bad.
Yeah.
So I've done that, and as you can imagine, every role I had in my career, I had to take risks.
I can imagine you driving home from the office and being to your wife, well, I have some news too. It's good news and bad news. I got a promotion. The bad news is that we have to move like thousands of kilometers away. No?
It is. It's not easy. But like I say, I think after I have done that for a couple of times, you also learn how to deal with the change better.
Yeah.
You end up developing strategies to facilitate and to shorten the period you need to adapt to a new place. And honestly, I think you get a little bit addicted to the change, to the hype of having the new news every certain number of years, right? So it's cool.
Yeah. And is there like a specific moment that you remember, like, wow, that was like, I was very brave to take that move at the time? I don't know.
Well, listen, I think Indonesia was the one, right? Because not only was the first one where I got to a GN role, but like I say, because, I always say when you move across the countries in the western part of the world, as much as it's different,
This is a certain level of like, more like,
exactly, there is a certain level of similarity, and the bases are pretty much the same. The way people see life, it's similar, right? When you go to Asia, it's a different ballgame. Asia is very different.
so Indonesia is like incommensurable, if you know what I mean. It's like, you can't really put in your mind how big it is. Like, I know that like to fly from Jakarta, let's just to know the size, from Jakarta to Papua, it's like 6-hour flight.
Exactly. And not not only from a geography point of view, but you have also the different islands and the different
Culture.
different culture.
Yeah, I was in Jakarta, Muslim, Flores, Catholic, and Bali, Hinduist, right?
Exactly. So you have this multicultural country with different religions coming from different backgrounds. It is very different, right? The way people see life, the way they behave, it's very different. And like I say, from a personal point of view, my wife was pregnant with our first child. So it was a lot of firsts in your life.
Yeah, like it was probably like a very, very very close temptation to say, look, I won't take this one because like we're at home, we have the support system, pregnancy, blah, blah. And you made the call. How long were you there for?
3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Good. No, and you probably wouldn't be where you are now if it weren't for
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was the stuff was again a super development opportunity.
Yeah. And also changing companies is a big one as well. No, like I know from my recruitment background that like a lot of people are like, no, I won't change because why would I give up like what I had? One, it's like an important call to do that as well.
And listen, I think that's to your point. Everything you go through your career and everything you do your life, sometimes not really intentionally planned, but when then you look back, you see how all those experiences contribute to shape you as a leader, and to prepare you for life.
Yeah.
And then if you think about being used to change, being used to manage change, end up being a great asset, right?
Yeah.
I always say to my team, the only constant we have today is change.
Yeah.
Right? The world's changing all the time. Companies are changing all the time. The geopolitical environment is changing all the time. So this idea that you're going to have stability,
it's not happening. Not that happening. No, you're right, definitely. And I think that there's like, as you said, like, you become used to the instability and it's kind of like second nature when you have it, no? As well. Same like with me when I, back in the day, gave up having like a fixed salary to go on commission back in the day. And that's been changed. Yeah, as well. So that's why I think it's interesting to learn from other people's risk. I'm curious to know as well, when did you start managing people? Because you must have like a huge team now. And you're also managing, because when you have like a regional GM role, it's a P&L role. So you have from the general manager to the store rep reporting up to you. So
yeah, I started managing people since I got to a brand manager role. First with having a brand assistant, trainees reporting. And then, of course, as I progress, I start to have bigger and bigger team. Yes, absolutely. It's quite interesting, the role of the leadership and of managing teams. One thing I say, Daniel, is all about building that trust with the people and empowering the people. I think one of the things that I observe, and then I saw it myself, when you come from, when you grow up in your career, you are used to do a lot of this stuff yourself, right? And
nobody will do it as well as you do.
Exactly. And it's good to be in control, right?
Yeah.
Because from the human nature, we like control. But the funny thing is that as you get to bigger and bigger role, less you do, and it's more about create an environment for other people to try. It's more empowering the people and supporting them, creating the environment where they can deliver.
Yeah.
It's not you doing yourself.
Yeah.
It is tough, man. it's tough, right? To let it go, right? And it's like when I got to this job I am now, one of the things that my line manager he warned me, say, remember, you're going from a general manager role to a area managing director role where you're going to manage a bigger region in several countries. Don't try to be a super GM.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, right? So learning on how you deliver through others by empowering others, by creating the environment and the tools and the systems and process that they need to thrive. That's the big shift you need to do when you manage a big team.
So what do you think is like the psychological click that you need to do? Apart from like, trusting people and so on, is there like, I don't know, like something that you're like, okay, and that moment is where I got it?
Yeah, I think it's when you realize that as much as you can try, you're never going to be able to do it all yourself. Right? At the end of the day, you're only one person. The day has only 24 hours. There's so much you can do. And it's a lot of self-awareness, right? It's recognizing your own limitations. Also, the other thing is, bigger the business you manage and broader the scope you have, less you know. That's the reality. And then having this self-awareness and recognizing that you don't know all the answers, and that you have people in your team that in their areas of expertise, they know much more than you do. That's the shift to say, I have no option, right? I have to empower the people and I need to be there to support them, but ultimately they'll have to deliver.
And it's a wonderful feeling, when you have like people that report into you, they're like, wow, they're coming like with so great ideas. They're kind of moving the business. And I think that too many times people see management as like a chore, and they're sort of like, you need to tell people what to do. No, I think that the magic happens when people are telling you what to do in some way. No.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I learned, and to a point about telling people what to do, I think it's less commanding. But it's more about being able to ask the right questions so they can figure out by themselves what they have to do. So it is fascinating and it is very rewarding, like you say, because there is no better feeling than when someone on your team, like you say, not only they come with a great idea, but also when they deliver great results and they're very successful, right? Because you feel good because not only you are succeeding together, but you see how you support and allow them.
And that's the thing, like when you have these like line management responsibilities, you have like such an impact on so many people, that, it's an interesting one. What about so you're managing you've come from Brazil, you've done Indonesia, you've done Germany, you've done now South Africa, Middle Eastern Africa. How do you do it in terms of managing such diverse markets? And to go in more into detail, from a very logical point of view, you have big key accounts, small distribution. You have also in your portfolio, you have pharmacies, you have drugstores, you have supermarkets, mom and pop stores. There's also you have the full, from shampoos to OTC, right?
Yes, correct. So it is very diverse. Listen, I think that there is two folds, right? There is the cultural aspect and there is the proper business aspect. I will tackle the first one here first. One thing that I've always been very grateful is that every time I change geography, the company provided cultural trainings. I know there's a lot of people that they say, I'm going to skip it. I'm not going to do it. I've always been very intentional about going through the cultural trainings. And I had the privilege to have fantastic cultural training coaches, including the one I had when I arrived here in the Emirates. It does help you to anchor and have the basics of understanding the nuances of the culture you are arriving in. I also try to get very informed about that culture, and I try to read as much as I can. I read every time I'm going to a country, I try to get a book that does the history of the country. So I know where the country comes from, where the people comes from, what is the history, how it worked. And I think there's an element of, especially when you arrive, it's to listen a lot, right? To listen to the people before you come to conclusions and before you make your assumptions. It's to listen a lot to the people.
Yeah, but it's listening to like your own team and doing the cultural training. Ultimately, you're going to be selling to these people, no? Accessible.
So I think that's on the cultural side. And then you have, of course, the business side. And absolutely, it is a very diverse because we deal in pretty much in all channels. We have a portfolio, at Kenvue we have the essential health portfolio that goes from fake toiletries to mouthwash, sanitary pads, going through skin health with like brands like Neutrogena.
Yep.
And then the self-care portfolio.
And the shampoo and the Johnson & Johnson shampoo. Exactly. I'm a big consumer of Johnson & Johnson shampoo, by the way.
I have to get that. So it is a very, but again, that's where I go back to the point. You're never going to be able to know everything, right? And that's where you need to be humble.
Yeah.
And have that self-awareness that, yes, you there is a limit of how much you can know. And then the pieces that you don't know, you need to make sure that you have a very good team.
Yeah.
That know what they're doing.
And how do you do it? Because it's an interesting one. Like, as we were saying, it's wonderful, like when things are bottom up, no? And we're getting input and actions from the team. As a general manager, where you have like reporting lines like to 5 or 6 levels lower than you, do you have a way of getting like input from like the lower level? Because you can learn a lot of what's...
Yeah, so I do that in two different ways. One, informal way, and another one, a more structured way. The informal way is I'm a people's person in the sense that I get energy from people. From talking to people. So I'm an extrovert. Exactly. So when I arrive in the office, usually I grab my coffee and I do my tour. I call it tour. I go to the floor and I go around and I talk to people, whoever is there. It doesn't matter what the person does, what is the level. When I talk to people and I listen and I ask questions, right? So that's a way. And the other one is I have once a month what I call the Coffee Connect. Where there is no agenda, right? So people can book these slots. Of course, we have a limited number of slots, but people can book. And then I spend 2 hours with the people where people can ask whatever they want. Well, and I also take the opportunity to ask to ask them. So those are the ways, again, one in a regular basis, informal way, another one more structured, that I try to keep in touch with everybody, pretty much. When I arrived here, for example, we have it's not a huge office, but we have a quite amount of people in the office, and I felt very uncomfortable the first couple of days because I would arrive at the office and I would greet the people, say good morning. I didn't know who they are, right?
Yeah. But they knew who you were.
They do, exactly, and I felt very uncomfortable because I don't even know the person's name.
Yeah, they do,
etc. So.
I know, as an extrovert, I can understand the feeling.
Yeah, so I felt uncomfortable, right? So I said to my assistant, say, listen, can you help me find a way? I want to meet with everyone.
Yeah.
And actually look at me surprised and say, are you sure you want to meet with everyone? I say, yes, I want to meet with everyone. And then I established those informal connects. 15 minutes was just to ask. I was truly interested to know who they are as people, where they come from, what they do, what is their family, and etc. And I can tell you, it has been amazing in so many ways. I knew we had a diverse office, but it's mind-blowing how diverse is our workforce.
Yeah.
We have literally people from all walks of life, from every single place in the world you can possibly imagine. And it's such a rich group of people, right? So it's amazing. You end up learning so much more. And things like, we have people that have the previous experiences that, oh, by the way, we have a project about this, and I didn't even know that this person in the previous life.
That's the thing. Like, if you take the time to like show who you are, make people comfortable as well, like you get input
Absolutely.
that otherwise you wouldn't. Like you establish a level of comfort for them. So by the way, as a loyal listener to the podcast, you know that we have this last question we ask all our guests, which is from all the experiences that you've had, which have been quite a few. If you went back to yourself as you were starting your career, what would be that one piece of advice?
Also, that's an interesting one. I think what I would say to my younger self is be even more bullish and intentional about having the most diverse experience you can get. Again, I'm very fortunate. Like I say, I did finance, I did trade market, and then I went to marketing. If I could say to my young self, man, diversify even more. Go to do HR, go to do a little bit of supply chain, go to do IT. I don't know. I think it's like having this opportunity to experience and do a little bit of the basic work for all the functions. It is amazing, so many different levels, right? So I think that would be my piece of advice for my young self.
Yeah, and it's a good one because then you look at like CEOs profiles, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we could be talking about this for 2 hours, but we're not gonna do. But like people that like CEOs have like very diverse experience, and the people are chasing. Of course, money is important and whatnot, but they're chasing learning experiences, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the key. Thanks so much. This was wonderful.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
Really enjoyed it. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode of the FMCG guys. Have a great one.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from Dwyer Partners SL, doing business as the FMCG guys, or the individual author, host, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Dwyer Partners SL. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Dwyer Partners SL expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we presented in this podcast.